Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Mel if you are new here, and today we're going to be talking about my 72 hours in the Reading Nook TBR. I host a 72-hour readathon a couple of times a year with two really good friends of mine, Lexi from Books with Lexi and Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy, and this time we are going to be joined by Monica from A Little Bit of Monica. This readathon goes for 72 hours and you have a wheel that you spin in order to figure out what books you're going to read. This time is set in the Reading Nook and we wanted it to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more just kind of read whatever you want. Up until this point, a lot of them have been genre based. So this time we are going to have an in your comfort zone wheel and an out of your comfort zone wheel. So just kind of blanket statement books that you would normally read versus books that for whatever reason you might not. We also have some really cool bookmarks that I think you guys should definitely go grab. The link for those is going to be down in the description box below. So as far as in your comfort zone and out of your comfort zone, what books I'm going to be putting on this, I did look at my shelves and try to figure out books around 350 pages or less that I had that I could definitely read for this, or at least put in my pile of possibilities. And then I also looked kind of online to see maybe what books that I didn't own that were on Kindle Unlimited that I could also put in my pile of possibilities. So I guess we're going to start with the in my comfort zone books. The first one is going to be The Haunting of Gillespie House by Darcy Coates. Obviously Darcy Coates is definitely in my comfort zone. She is an author that I have read and loved many times before. I have a whole shelf dedicated to Darcy Coates books. This one actually has a lot of short stories in the back of it, so it's only around 150 pages. And it would fit definitely the under 300 pages. It would fit an author that I've read from before. And if I decided to read this physically, it would also fit my least used format. My least used format is actually a physical book, so this one would hit all of those prompts. Then we have Water's Wrath by Elise Kova. This is the fourth book. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, fourth book in the Air Awakens series that I have really been enjoying. I definitely want to continue on this series, so I always use any excuse that I can to pick up one of these books. It's following Vala, who is a air magician, and she doesn't really want to be an air sorcerer. She just kind of wants to live in the library, do her own thing, but she is the last one, and so she gets pulled into this war and these politics that she never wanted to be a part of. This writing is honestly really addictive. I love it. I think that it's a lot of fun. It is 315 pages, so it would count for over 300 pages. It would count as an author that I've read from before, and it would count as a friend's recommend because Cassidy really enjoys this book. Then we have Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna McGuire. I honestly really debated on whether I wanted to put this in my comfort zone or out of my comfort zone because I've just gotten to where I haven't been loving the last few installments of this series, but because I keep picking it up, I definitely think it is in my comfort zone. This is the latest book in the Wayward Children series about children that have, for whatever reason, the opportunity to go to their perfect world, but their perfect world is not always perfect, and there are some horrific and terrible things that they have to deal with and come to terms with regarding these worlds. I do have the audiobook for this, so I would be listening to it, which would make it my most used format. It's 142 pages, so it's less than 300 pages, and this is a new release because it came out in 2024. Then we have Turtle Boy by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is one of the few novellas by Keelan Patrick Burke that I have not read yet, and I've really enjoyed all of the ones that I've read for him so far. This is about a boy and his friend that go to, I think, the lake, and they see giant turtles in the lake. I don't really know a whole lot about what this is about, and I've heard really good things about this one, so I do want to pick it up. This would count for least used format, less than 300 pages, and an author that I've read from before. I've also had this one for a while. I don't know that I can count it as a TBR vet because I don't think it's been on my TBR the longest, but I have had it for a while. So I need to look at like my horror TBR and see, because out of the books that I currently own, this could count as a TBR vet. And then for a couple others that I don't own that I would be reading on Kindle Unlimited, one is Blood Price by Bella Roth. This is the prequel to Blood Mercy, and I have been really wanting to read this. I believe it follows a different couple, but it's set in the same world, and it is 300 pages, whereas all of the other like Blood Mercy that I'm up to are very, very long, so I would not be able to read those for this readathon, but I know that I love this writing. I know that I can sink into this world, so I think that this one will be a lot of fun. I would need to see the actual Kindle book to see. I think it is literally right at 300 pages, so that means I don't know if it would count for either 300 or under 300. I need to talk to Lexi and Cassidy about that one. It is an author that I've read from before, and I believe it would count as a friend's recommends because I think Tori from Tori Between Pages really enjoyed this one. Then we have Kingdom of Blood and Salt by Alexis Calder. This is one that I've just kind of seen on my radar a couple of times recently. I've seen it pop up for a book that I might like based off of other books that I have enjoyed. It is in my comfort zone because it is an enemies to lovers, and I know that there's a treaty with the Fae that keeps out the vampires, wolf shifters, and they're fighting against dragons at their border. I had no clue that this had dragons in it, so that's really fun. It is over 300 pages. It would be a new to me author, and it was published in 2023, so it would also count as a new release. Then I also have Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, and again, this is one of those that I wasn't sure whether to put in my comfort zone or out of my comfort zone. I ended up going with in because I have really enjoyed a lot of Rob J. Hayes' books in the past, but this one is actually one that I did DNF around 50 pages previously because it was just a little bit too fast-paced for me. And it is a Asian-inspired story about Elin, who is on a mission from God, a god of death. And I think that this one I ended up putting in my comfort zone because I really just want to trust Rob J. Hayes and trust his writing style. I also have a special edition of this coming, so I'm really hoping that I love it the second time around. It is 331 pages, so it would count for over 300 pages. It's an author that I've read from before, and I do have the audiobook for it, so it would be in my most read genre. Okay, now let's talk about my out of my comfort zone TBR. For me, out of your comfort zone is really just either a trope that I don't normally read, a book that I've been putting off for one reason or another, a book that I'm scared of. I'm being kind of loose with out of my comfort zone because I do read a pretty wide variety of genres, and the genres that I don't read aren't out of my comfort zone. They're genres that I'm flat out not interested in, and I definitely want this weekend to be fun. I don't want to read things that I just don't want to read, but I do want to be gravitating toward those books maybe for a day or two that I would not normally pick up. The first one is The Law of the Skies, which I have just recently picked up. For me, this is out of my comfort zone because I really don't read a lot of indie horror. I want to, but there's just something about it that kind of scares me a little bit, and it is a very short novella, which again is not really in my comfort zone. I do tend to read longer form books. This is about kids that go on a camping trip and all of them start to die. It has been recommended by Sherry many times, so this would count as a friend's recommends. It would count as under 300 pages. It is an author that I have never read from before, and it would be at least used format. Then we have The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner. This has been on my TBR for literal years. It would absolutely count as a TBR vet, but Maria from Maria Might Read That keeps talking about it, so I just kind of want to give it a try. This one is less than 400 pages. It's right at 300, which counts for my criteria, so it would count for over 300 pages, and a friend recommends. I know that it is about someone that can steal anything, but they get put in prison and given the task of stealing something for the king, I believe. I would try to find an audiobook for this to make it my most used format. I think that that would be a little easier for me to get through on this. It is an author that I've never read from before. Honestly, this hits a lot of prompts. Then we have The River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty, and I know you're thinking, Mel, this is not out of your comfort zone. You've loved from that author before. I have, but I am not a short story collection reader. It's just not something that I tend to gravitate toward. So this one scares me, and I've been putting it off for forever because of that. This is set in the same world as the Daevabad series, and I know that it is kind of following some of those characters and deleted scenes and stuff. I've heard really good things about it, and I do want to pick it up, but it scares the crap out of me because it's just not my usual style of read. I did get gifted this one from Bex, so I just need to make a priority of it. It's 239 pages, so it would count for under 300 pages. Bex gifted it to me. She highly recommended it, so friends recommends. I have the audiobook for this one, so most used format, and it is an author that I've read from before. Then we have House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard. This is going to be in a book box that I'm potentially getting pretty soon, and so I wanted to give it a try to see if maybe I would enjoy this one so that I could switch over to that box. The reason this is out of my comfort zone is because it has the trope marriage of convenience, which is not a trope that I typically like, and it is kind of like slumlords, which again, a little more urban, not something that I read a ton of, so that's why I would be putting this one on the out of my comfort zone wheel. It is longer. It is around 400 pages, so I'm not sure if I would read this one, but the font is huge, and so maybe. Tiara gifted me this one, although I don't think she has read it, so I'm not sure if I can count it as a friend recommends, but it was published in 2023, so it could be counted as a new release. It would be my least used format if I decided to read it physically, and it is a new to me author. Then we have The Trees Grew Because I Bled Here by Eric LaRocca. All of Eric LaRocca's stuff scares the crap out of me. I've never read anything from him before. I don't know anything about the short story collection, but again, there's an anti-Mel buzzword, but it's short and I've wanted to try something from him, so that's why I'm putting it on the TBR. This one would be at least used format. It would be less than 300 pages, a new to me author, and I've had it for a little while, although I don't think I could quite count this one as a TBR bet. The last one that I do own physically is Starter Villain by John Scalzi. This is out of my comfort zone because it is a cozy sci-fi, which is not my thing, and I have read several John Scalzi's and DNF'd 2 of them, so I am a little out of my comfort zone here, thinking maybe I won't love this one. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I know it has a cat. I think it involves supervillains, and I've heard pretty good things about it. I think that I would be listening to this one because Lexi was going to let me borrow her audiobook, so it kept for most used. It is a newer release, it is over 300 pages, and it is an author that I have read from before. Okay, then really quickly, 3 books that I do not own that are out of my comfort zone. Radiance by Grace Draven. There's just something about this book. I've heard of it many, many times, but I've just been really scared to pick it up. I know that it is a political friends to lovers, I think, kind of thing, which is not usually a trope that I am a huge fan of, but Jonathan's been reading it and raving and shouting about it in the Discord, so he made me want to pick it up. It is 297 pages, so I think it might be really good for this readathon. It would be a friend recommends for sure. I think that I did buy this one because the ebook and the physical book weren't that different in price, so it should be to me Thursday, but it would count for my least used format if I read it physically, and it is an author that I've never read from before. Then we have Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. This was not even on my radar, not even a realm of possibility. It is a why choose reverse harem romance that nope, that's not usually my trope, that's not my thing. However, it is 289 pages, and I just recently read Crown of Oaths and Curses a couple of months ago, really enjoyed it, gave it a 4-star, thought that her writing was incredible and the way that she could weave the characters together I just loved. So I'm like, maybe I should try her other series because I was addicted to the writing. Maybe she could make me love Why Choose. So I am going to be considering it for this readathon. It is less than 300 pages. It is a friend recommends, kind of. Claire really liked it, although I'm not sure if she would recommend it to me personally, but she did really enjoy this series. And I think that those are all the prompts that it would count for. I don't think it hits just a ton of prompts for me. And last but not least, we have A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Wren. This was not on my radar at all. It scared me. It was not something that I was considering reading. I don't really know why, because there's nothing about the synopsis other than maybe it's a little bit whimsical sounding that really was out of my comfort zone, but there's something about it I have just been avoiding. But there's a really pretty special edition of the whole series, and I kind of want to try it. Also, I saw Rachel from Ravenhair Reader had given it a 4-star, and usually she and I have pretty similar fantasy romance taste. So I was like, okay, if she really liked it, there's a special edition that I love. I have seen it popping up a lot of different places recently. Maybe I'll try it and I'll put it on the out of my comfort zone wheel. It would hit less than 300 pages. It would hit an author that I have never read from before. It would hit friend recommends, and I think that those are all of the prompts that this one would accomplish. Okay guys, so there is my TBR for 72 hours in the Reading Nook. I hope that you guys will join us. If you want to know a little bit more about the readathon, the announcement video is going to be down in the description box below, along with the link to the bookmarks if you guys want to grab those. I am so excited to be spending 72 hours probably in this room because it is my library, it is my Reading Nook. I'm gonna string up some fairy lights. It's gonna be a great time and just hang out for 72 hours with all of my best friends. It's gonna be an amazing time, and I hope that you guys can be there. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hang out, or if you want to let me know that you're going to be participating in the readathon, leave me a couch emoji because we are going to be getting cozy for this 72 hours. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are down in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!